Hello YouTube, it is November 21st, 2019, and this video gonna be real quick. I know I usually say that and the video be an hour long, but I promise you, if I go talking and rambling, it won't be no more than 20 minutes today because I truly don't got much to say about the 5th Democratic debates. Notice that I done really checked out mostly once they darn gonna kick Marianne Williamson off. Like I really got in my feelings behind Marianne Williamson, and then I got to thinking that this is in Atlanta too, a dominant black population, the entrepreneur capital of the country as far as for black folks. 50.35% of the population in Atlanta is black. You have a man who descends from American chastise slavery, who brought the studio that used to be the Confederate Army base where the Confederate soldiers wanted black people to still be enslaved. Now fast forward, a descendant of that American chastise slave is now the owner and turned it into a place of employment to not only employ black people and other groups, but also to build them up to a level where they can get generational wealth for their family. And in the particular studio that they was recording, because y'all know there's 12 sound stages, I believe, 10 or 12, but one of them is named the Oprah Winfrey sound stage, named after, talk show host, former owner of the Oprah Winfrey Network. She still is a spokesperson for OWN, and she still has a substantial share, but she does not have the majority share. But she still reserves the title as being named the richest black woman in America. Richest woman in America. Bum, bum, ba-dum. So with all this black excellence, you would have thought there would have been a lot more topics regarding black agendas. And this is what pisses a lot of black people off. And, shout out to the few people who, edged the subject in during the few minutes that it was allotted. I think they did it. And I watched the whole thing on msnbc.com because y'all know I downgraded my cable. So I don't have CNN and all that on my stuff no more on my channel list. So I had to watch it on the live stream. I couldn't rewind it, none of that. So I'm staying glued to the whole thing. Didn't miss nothing. So it took an hour and a half for us to get to talking about black issues in a city that's dominantly black. 50.35% of the population is black. And 45, I think they said, no, 40% is actually white. And then there's a mixture of other in between that makes up that 10%. But y'all spent a total of about 8 minutes really focusing on black topics. And out of those 8 minutes, it was co-opted with foreign affairs. And not only foreign affairs was co-opted into the black agenda, but you didn't even talk about the foreign black Africans. You didn't talk about, once again, they didn't mention Libya not one time. That is still undergoing the slavery crisis. In 2019, Libya is still undergoing slavery. That was not mentioned not one time. We did not mention about West Africa. They mentioned about the Paris Climate Agreement all throughout this whole debate. But they did not mention about holding Paris accountable about keeping Africa countries in an impoverished state, which caused them to come over here in the first place. Now, granted, Africans are not coming here at nowhere near the substantial numbers as Hispanic immigrants, but still the fact that they're coming over here nonetheless and having to seek refuge because of impoverished situations, because of racism and bigotry and torture going on over there, and economic decline in their own countries, and to the point where we have to give them so-called aid. But the best thing we can do for West Africa is not to give them aid, but to help them get independence of their countries, because I have, not just me, but that the Africa Diaspora News Network, the Dr. Mumby Show, and several other people have reported, if America was to keep their aid and we was to allow Africa to be truly of their own independence, they will be able to bring their own selves up out of it. The reason why they still remain in an impoverished state is because we give them false aid, but it's a distraction to show that we still cause, fuck ups in their country and France and everything else, because we take part with the allies. The allied countries still draining their resources. 85% of West Africa resources is in the French bank. And we don't talk about that. We don't, but then we have a president that will mention that they're shithole countries, but we don't mention why they got such an economic depressed state. None of that was mentioned. But I guarantee you, if Marianne Williamson was up there, that would have been a whole different ball game. So I was so disappointed on that regard. I was like, God damn, this would have been the awesome moment for Marianne Williamson to have been up here on this doggone debate stage. But instead, they focused mostly on, they co-opted 8 minutes of black talking points with Saudi Arabia, the Iran deal. I'm like, well, damn. Just out of all the African countries, I'm not Raven Simone. I'm from every continent of Africa. Let me backpedal on that. I definitely know that Africa is one continent opposed of many countries. So don't y'all Raven Simone me, honey. But out of all the countries, with West Africa trying to create their own currency, with the Congo having to join into the East Africa, and dealing with all of that, they got the most abundant metal resources, to the tune of $24 trillion in the cobalt alone. But they're not able to control their own resources, so they remain one of the most impoverished people in one of the most richly abundant metal lands. We didn't mention none of that if we want to talk about foreign affairs in Africa. Y'all stayed right over there with the darn Middle East. But you don't focus on the ones who are highly melanated, highly favored. But you talked about the Paris climate deal, but you didn't talk about the fact that France is still keeping these West African countries in despair. We didn't mention about Haiti and the hypocrisy that they got their money wrapped up in France as well. Yet Haiti, I do believe, won their war. Now, I never heard when somebody actually win a war and their money still gets darn tied up into they darn defeaters bank. That's about as ridiculous as us having these Confederate statues celebrating the darn losers. I thought you supposed to have the statues of the people who won the damn war. And I'm not a proponent of, tear down the statues, because that's another thing that's been going on here in North Carolina. If anybody's from North Carolina, y'all been seeing left and right with these Confederate statues being turned down. And I've always been a person that said keep the statues up. However, let's put the Union statues up there as well. And not only put the Union statues up, and rename the Confederate bases after Union bases, because if you're truly not trying to uphold racism and bigotry, why do you need to have the Confederates who lost the Civil War still named after the army bases when we supposed to be a true democracy country, which was representative of the Union? So why aren't the bases named after the Union soldiers instead? Why are they named after the Confederacy? How come, if you're truly talking about showcasing accurate history, how come you only want the Confederate statues up? I would say keep the Confederate statues up and put the Union statues up, which includes the Black Union soldiers and the Native American Union soldiers. But see, they don't want to really show that one, honey. They don't want to really show the true history. They want to show their alternative history where they think they still won because white supremacy is still controlling all this bullshit. So that's why they feel some type of way when the Confederate statues are taken down, even though the Confederates lost. Like I said, don't take the statues down. Put Union statues up right beside them, including black darn soldiers and Native American soldiers, and call it a day. That's the true darn herstory, honey, and not darn made up alternative fact history from darn white racist supremacists that don't teach the full lesson. Just like with this darn Harriet movie, and I'm hearing that one person suggested Julia Roberts to play darn Harriet, and then after that, Miss Rebo from the UK decided to get the role before an African American woman. And she looking scared the whole time. I'm not saying that British actresses can't play, you know, black people. And yeah, I'm going to get back on the subject of politics, but this all ties into it. So, Miss Revo real quick with this darn Harriet movement. I might as well just make all this one topic all in here. So I name it something about the little brief Harriet movie review. If you're going to be a British woman playing an American actress, could we at least get the darn, you know, embodiment of the character? Because my thing is that she looked at afraid and scared and petrified throughout the whole darn movie. But you claim that you read up on Harriet Tubman. And I'm just going to leave it at that. The fact that she did not know about Harriet Tubman being a strong, resilient, darn woman who did not take no shit from anybody, yet you looking like a deer caught in the headlight from this fictional character they created that wanted to darn pimp out. I mean, that wanted to get the money to, I guess, be a pimp or, you know, a trick or whatever to darn white whores. He wanted to trick off the money to white darn whores. That what they said he said in the movie? I'm glad I didn't see that bullshit. I'm so glad I did. And then you have this narrative that people said that feminists was the ones trying to come out with the movie. Like, I don't even think that was a win for the darn feminists. How in the hell? Because I seen Judge Joe Brown with his bullshit. Like, this was just a whole fucked up damn week. For me seeing Judge Joe Brown, for me hearing about this movie, and talking about this movie was put out as a way to push darn Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. I don't know how. Because if the feminist movement was going to showcase a strong black woman, or a woman regardless, that's strong and resilient, why would they have Harriet Tubman darn looking like a deer caught in the head, like every time she come across a white man, flip, you know, shaking like she got Tourette syndrome? Yes, she suffered from epilepsy, but the bitch ain't never suffered from nervousness nor Tourette's. Every time she come across, ooh, honey, that wasn't darn Harriet. And then y'all had the audacity to try to throw that on the feminist movement. Honey, the feminist is problematic in a lot of ways, but honey, that movie was not on them, baby. I don't think no darn feminist would have co-signed that motherfucking bullshit. None of them would have co-signed that motherfucking bullshit. So don't even put it on that. And also, I guess Judge Joe Brown done lost the memo about the fact that due to Trump and his darn insecurities, they done pushed the image back a darn Harriet Tubman to 2027. And once again, this is the insecurities in regards to black imagery being shown positive anyway. So sensitive about black people shown in any darn light, in any darn high regard, that just the thought of a black woman on the darn dollar, on any type of bill, is just too much. Like, you got every other bill. Like, even if you didn't want her on the $20 bill, the fact that nobody felt comfortable with her on any bill, because if we would have moved her to the $10 bill, then people would have came up with a story for Hamilton. If we would have put her on a $100 bill, oh, that would have been really too much. Why she got to be on the highest dollar currency? But nobody ever says, well, why does a non-president is on the highest dollar currency, and his most prestigious darn notoriety that is taught to us is darn the invention of the light bulb. But what is not mentioned half the time is that it was a black person that helped facilitate him with the invention of said light bulb. So even with the light bulb, darn Thomas Edison had a darn had help from a black man. Now, I would give him that he ultimately came up with it, but he had a little bit of help still from blackness at the end of the day. But Harriet Tubman is known for leading darn over 1,000 people to freedom. And to sit there and hear a misogynist judge talk about a man should darn be on the bill before that because it demasculates. So the thought of a woman being on the bill just before you, that's emasculating. I'm trying to figure out how when every other darn on male who's came after darn on Harriet Tubman has been more showcased and broadcast a lot more than every other faucet. But just because for once a woman is going to be put on the bill and it happens to be before a man, that's too much. Misogyny much, the Judge Joe Brown. You got, it's not enough that Martin Luther King, because people suggesting, well, maybe Martin Luther King should have been on the bill. And it's like, okay, it's just not enough that he has a holiday celebrated after him. It's not enough that every other darn major urban street is named up after him and highway. It's not enough that he has tons of monuments named up after him. It's not enough that when we have Black History Month and the few African historians and Black Americans and West Indian Americans that they highlight in Black History Month, Martin Luther King always rank at the top of the list. It's not enough that he has all that regard. It's not enough that even when it comes to the talking points of black issues, the number one darn quotations on the debate stage is always Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King. That's not enough. Now we got to put him on the bill before Harriet Tubman, who hasn't had anything. And you know damn well they ain't about to put Malcolm X on there. They still got, they're so darn inherently racist. They still got the Black Panther Party labeled as a terrorist organization. But you allow the Klan to darn walk freely in certain areas of darn North Carolina. Now, of course, they know not to come down to the 2-6, baby, because, bitch, we ain't about to do that. They know not to try us. You come down here talking about some white power all you want to, you're going to be stomped down to a point where you're going to be 10 times blacker than me. Bitch, your darn skin going to be looking blacker than my natural color hair by the time we done with you. Notice they always bypass the 2-6, bitch. You hear them over there in Winston-Salem, Asheville, honey, you don't never hear them in darn Fed 9, baby. You won't hear them trying to be bold enough to come through the motherfucking 2-6, bitch. Even with the darn big clock still downtown Fayetteville, bitch, they won't try. They won't try. And that's all I got to say about that hypocrisy with the darn Harriet Tubman movie. I wasn't even trying to see. I guess this video gonna be longer than I thought because I decided to just get everything on out the way. And I had to, because that's the only way this video would have been a half hour, because the debates was just overall, like I said, that pissed me off. Y'all just don't understand how black people we feel when we can hear Hispanic issues talked to the point. And this is not even the Hispanic Americans. We're talking about Hispanics who have not even gotten their papers yet. So this is a slap in the face to the actual Hispanics who actually became naturalized citizens, where you're speaking a half hour on the debate stage in Spanish on Hispanic issues. But in a town where it's because here's another thing. I do recognize that one of the debate stage was in, like, I think it was Texas or it was California, one of them places where it had a heavy Hispanic population, and you was properly able to recognize that and darn gonna pander to Hispanics. But in a town where you have a majority black population, tell me how in the world do you darn gonna limit that to just 8 minutes? And then out of 8 minutes, you co-opt that with foreign affairs, and it's not only that, but the foreign affairs wasn't even black people. You co-opted it with darn gone Saudi Arabians, Middle Easterns. You co-opted it with Iranians. You didn't mention darn gone Hispanics within that darn gone topic. You didn't even mention Afro, and then once again, the Afro-Latinos are not mentioned. Because we see what happened with the Dominicans. We've seen what happened with Haitians that got darn gone deported. So when y'all talk about these Hispanics, y'all don't even talk about the dark ones. So it goes once again back to perpetuating the colorism and the division that this country was darn gone still building on, that keeps us darn gone divided. So that darn gone made me just pay them motherfuckers dust. And then Kamala Harris, you sitting up there sounding like the blackest pot, calling the kettle darn gone black, talking about oh, well, black people is tired of y'all only coming into the church when it's time to vote. Well, honey, when was the last time your ass done been down to the motherfucking church? Now, bitch, don't darn gonna get to calling somebody else out on they shit with your Indian ass. And you know damn well prior to 2 years ago, I at least gave her the benefit of the doubt. I thought she at least was calling herself black within the past 10 years. I gave her 10 years. Honey, I just got finished watching ABL. And he done put you out on blast and showed that when you was elected in the office in 2017, you was calling yourself an Indian American back then, only 2 years ago. I like, hot damn, a bell skips a flip and hops a bitch. I said, really? So it ain't even been 2 years that you darn gonna been calling yourself a black woman. I am a black woman. Honey, shout out to Danielle Brooks, honey. A true melanated, dark-skinned, darn gone chocolatey queen. Which darn gone Kamala Harris is not. She's not even a caramel queen, honey. But y'all still wonder why people had to question her darn on bullshit. Because in 2017, darn on ABL pull up a motherfucking screenshot of you being elected in by none other than Joe Biden as a darn on Indian woman. You didn't say nothing about that blackness, which will be okay, rightfully so, because you was actually raised by your mother. You're half Indian at best. I mean, you know, at the least. Because your father is rumored to be half Indian as well. Genealogy research has shown that you do descend from darn on Indian slave owners in Jamaica. But your mother is directly from India, which means it's your father that also has some Indian ancestry. Now we just wondering how much. Now maybe he made it with one of his great grandparents made it with one of the slaves, and you know that's when the blackness was introduced. So we give you that to a certain extent. But at best, like they say, you is darn on 75+% darn on Indian. And 25% darn on black. But just like I had to get on darn on Evelyn's ass for darn on parading as a black woman. And I took her as a black woman because of how dark and she was, and that was my ignorance. But just like I had to correct Evelyn Lozada from Basketball Wives, just in case y'all didn't know, because I know a lot of people who watch my politic talk videos might not watch reality television, so y'all are looking like, well, who the hell is Evelyn? Evelyn is a Latina woman who is most well known on Basketball Wives. There was a huge scandal between her and an African woman by the name of OG in regards to colorism on the show. And in regards to, you know, some racism with Evelyn, you know, throwing out slur words towards black people. But she says she cannot be racist because she is black. And then it comes to find out that she's only 25% darn gone black. And I'm trying to say, well, if that makes you black, then shouldn't the average white person be white, considering that the average black person in America has 25% European DNA? You see how crazy that sound? If we're not darn gonna label white based off of having 25% darn on European DNA on average, what makes you have claim blackness? So if it doesn't work for Evelyn Lozada, who's actually more melanated with curlier hair than darn on Kamala Harris, then why in the world is we going to take Kamala Harris at face value with darn on naturally wavy hair that which she keeps her hair perpetually straight, in addition to the fact that she's of lighter hue and has a full parent that's Indian and another parent which from genealogy has Indian ancestry. Let it make sense. But you sitting up there claiming that you a black woman as if you darn on Stacey Abrams, as if you darn on Nina Turner. You literally not even putting 20 on 10 sugar. You darn on sitting there being the pot calling the kettle black, putting 50 on 10. You got 20% African DNA at best, trying to darn on chastise somebody from a black woman's perspective as a darn on person who up to 2017 claimed yourself as an Indian darn on woman. So I did not darn gonna see no fault in Joe Biden saying that he was darn gonna endorsed by the only darn gonna African American woman elected to be president, which is Miss Mosley Braun, Carol Mosley Braun, or is it Carol Braun Mosley? It's one of that. But those are the three names that three things that make up her name. I get the Braun and the Mosley confused. I don't know the Brown comes first or the Mosley, but Carol Brown Mosley is the first African American woman back in the 90s elected to the Senate. And nearly 2 decades later came Kamala Harris. But the thing is, when she was elected, she was put in as the first Indian woman. So long before we had the Muslim that got put in, and then another one, I think another Indian woman just got elected in. We had darn Kamala as the first Indian woman. So we're trying to figure out, when do you change from being the first Indian woman to being the second darn black woman elected? Nobody never fact checked. And Biden, with his dementia having ass, his ass was so slow on that. And that's why people want him to sit all the way the fuck down. Because it wouldn't have paid for me to be in Biden's position and been of sound mind. And it's like, how the hell you don't remember 2 years ago you was the one that got you helped usher her in under the darn term of an Indian woman? How the hell you forget that? But instead you talking about, you backpedaling, talking about, oh, I meant the first darn African American. You darn bowing down to what darn Cory Booker and darn Kamala having you darn say, talking about, oh, that's not true. You should have doubled down in that moment and say, well, it is true. And until you show that you actually is of African descent, I'm going to stay firm in my darn conviction. That's what darn Biden should have darn see. Hell, you already part of the darn good old boys club any darn way with your darn undesegregated, what's the term I'm looking for? Unsupportive desegregation ass. He was darn pro segregation. No, not, he was, what's the term I'm looking for, y'all? God damn it. I can't even get my words right. He was pro segregation, I want to say, when he's, when you want to keep the schools divided. Y'all know I'm not used to saying that terminology wrong often. So that's why, my mind is discombobulated on it. But he was pro segregation. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to, with your pro segregation ass. But Kamala, you talking about you part of the darn second generation. You part of the second generation of people to desegregate the damn schools. But you didn't say that it was under the guise of an Indian woman, though. It wasn't under the black darn woman. Because once again, during the civil rights era, everybody was co-opted under the term color, which was another thing going around that darn night of the debate stage. When once again, black people got co-opted under the color term. That's why people that's black wants the distinction, because every time you say color, you always manage to bring everybody else up in that damn shit. And the reason why I get so darn confused, because now you got a darn woman running for president who's able to be labeled as African American, which not only that is confusing within itself, because the term African American not only means that you have to be racially black, but African American means that you also have to descend from American chattel slavery. And we're trying to figure out, how does a woman who descends from the West Indies, and yes, we know that the boat did not just stop in America. So once again, before y'all tell me, well, it was more slaves sent to the West Indies, including Brazil. Twice as many darn slaves were sent to Brazil than it was in America. I'm familiar with all that. You talking to somebody who actually studied darn African American studies. I actually took that up in high school, and that was actually I was going to further study on in African American studies in darn college. I also studied anthropology and all of that as well. I also studied theology as well. So I'm very well versed on the history of the West Indies and the fact that there were slaves in the West Indies. But once again, the genealogy facts prove that she descends from Indian slave owners. Indian slave owners. So at best, her papa is mixed. So yeah, you got some slavery ancestry, but it's not directly to North America. It's from Jamaica. Yeah, you were born here, but because you're born here, that does not make you a black woman as far as an African American. You could say at best you are Indian American, which what you was saying up until 2 years ago. But now you trying to darn gone punk everybody on the motherfucking debate stage, and darn gone Biden with his dementia having ass didn't darn gonna check you on that. So that darn gonna piss me off all the way right there with her. Like that, ooh, that just irritated the fuck out of me. That's why I cannot take Kamala Harris seriously. The fact that she is still trying to parade herself as an African American. How can you parade yourself as an African American with a parent that's Indian from the continent? I mean, from the, Asia. And then you have a parent that is darn on West Indian. You don't have no direct ties to America other than the fact that you were born here. That's like President Barack Obama, a white American parent and a Kenyan darn gone father directly from the continent of Africa, yet they label him as African American. And that's why people get confused and don't know the difference between a black, authentic American that can trace their lineage. I just did my DNA ancestry, and I can go back generations to North Carolina. To the 1800s, my people has been here. And not just the Native American side, but the black side has been here since the 1800s and beyond. But when you have these first and second generation Americans getting to be able to get co-opted, and then it gets to the point when reparations is argued, look who's arguing against it and for it on behalf of black people. You had more West Indian and darn gone African people speaking on the subject. You had a 23-year-old from darn gone Puerto Rico, an Afro-Latino. You had a darn gone black Jamaican woman. You had another West Indian person. And then the one darn gone black person that you had that was from America had darn gone borderline dementia his damn self, slow speaking darn gone, what's his darn gone name? I just call him darn gone the abuser from darn gone Color Purple, Mr. But they had darn gone Mr. trying to speak, and Mr. darn gone slowing his darn gone words. I swear I don't forgot his name. I want to say Morgan Freeman, but I ain't about to do more. I ain't about to do Morgan Freeman like that. Morgan still got his dendrites up here, but Mr. don't. Danny Glover. See, I was about to Google search that bitch for a moment. But Danny Glover up there can't even darn gone formulate a darn gone sentence. It's taking him darn gone 20 seconds to get a word out. And I'm trying to figure out, like, damn, who got it more worse? Darn gone slow speaking Danny Glover? Or can't remember nothing past 2 minutes darn gone Biden? And then here you got Mr. Civil Rights Man. Okay, I guess this video, I lied to myself every motherfucking time. Every damn time I say the video ain't going to be but darn on 20-30 minutes, I end up going into a motherfucking tangent. So get your darn on snacks and come on back, because we about to go in it, because now I got to get to Biden's civil rights having ass. Really, Biden? I mean, not Biden, but Bernie. See them two B's? They darn gone both irritate me like darn gone rabbit bitches, so I can't tell both of them apart, honey. You got the two B's that get on my motherfucking nerves, Bernie and Biden. They just as darn gone unhealthy for you like Ben and Jerry's, honey. Ben and Jerry's, I've been off of dairy for 7 years, and we need to be up off of darn gone Bernie and Biden up in these darn gone politics with this fooling fucking niggardry, honey. Mr. Civil Rights himself. But nobody can't tell us what has he done since he got in there directly for black people. Now, I actually darn gone said to myself, I'm going to, even with that bullshit, I'm going to darn gone bring up his policies. I actually took time to look at it, and it's interesting enough. But the reason why I can't even give his platform the time of day is antics like this. When you are caught darn gone kicking people out your rallies, just for bringing up the topic of reparations, even if you didn't agree with it, why you have to go as far as to kick people out who's not causing any darn gone ruckus to you, who is not yelling, who's not being belligerent, who is not threatening or anything like that, but because they brought it up, you darn gonna kick them out. You talking about is divisive, but you never answer the question about, and then I get sick of them never darn gonna checking them up on this shit. Because everybody's so afraid of the motherfucking Jewish community. But you in a dominant black town, and this was the time to speak on black issues, and nobody mentioned nobody at any point in time And even Marianne Williamson, you sitting at home looking at this shit through Twitter. And just like other candidates like Julian Castro was tweeting throughout the whole night. If y'all ever are on Twitter and you see me, I'm active during every single debate. I'm active during every single darn debates on Twitter. I seen Julian Castro and Marianne Williamson. She sent out her emails today, but neither one of y'all motherfuckers. You know, see, let me calm down on the language. They about to flag me because this is a politics video and they might label it still in the kids section. And here I am cussing like a sailor. Y'all know darn YouTube got this darn COPA law. And even if I put it not for kids, just based off it being politics, they might try to change it back to kids. So let me calm down on the swearing. But the fact that irritates me is nobody checks Bernie on the hypocrisy of Jewish people getting reparations exclusively from them, signed off by the so-called African American that y'all try to label him, President Barack Obama, that once again Bernie signed off of, but then the following year you're going to say reparations towards black Americans in any capacity is darn doing too much. But you support the study of it though. The study for what? I mean, hell, what do we do every year with this darn infusion? And that's another thing. Y'all want in darn we represent 15% of the population, 50% of the population which y'all in, and especially higher concentrations in the South. Yet y'all want to go as far as to try to pass laws to make it where darn mandatory teachings of darn black studies, which actually is very pivotal in darn bringing up the foundation of what America is today. The America was actually built upon the foundation of blackness. But y'all want to teach darn blackness as part of an infusion where you get to just mention a little subsection of it as if we're insignificant. Yet, if it wasn't for these darn little so-called insignificant people, this whole country would not even be established. The fact that that's not even mentioned. The fact that anytime we are mentioned, and shout out to darn Karen Hunter, because I seen the Andrew Yang interview, and that was a good interview. This is why overall I still love Andrew Yang. Because even with him not fully coming out on reparations, and speaking on black issues, he was able to properly take a critique from Karen Hunter. Now, no relation to Wendy Williams Hunter, because I thought she might be related to darn Calvin, honey. But she darn pointed that out real quick that she is not related to darn Calvin. So she's no in-law to Wendy, but they know each other very well. She pointed it out best that we are so sick and tired of every time y'all mention stuff on black issues, y'all always darn bring up poverty when it comes to show that most black people is not in poverty. But the ones who are still needs to be addressed. But don't darn make it seem like doing stuff for just people in poverty is going to help a majority of black people when the majority of black people is not in poverty. Talking about marijuana, but a majority of black people does not smoke marijuana, is nor convicted in jail for marijuana, and majority of black people is not in jail at all. And then education reform issues. But studies show that the most educated person in America is the black woman. I was so glad when Karen Hunter kindly just pointed out all them facts, debunking all them motherfucking narratives. And little did she know when she was checking Andrew Yang, and Andrew Yang was making a mental note, honey, she really slapped Kamala upside the motherfucking head with that one. That read was not that read was addressed to Andrew Yang, but if you looked at all his policies, and y'all know we have over here, we got over 7 videos on Andrew Yang, so go on ahead and check them out. Honey, that check, though, was really for Kamala Harris. Because Kamala Harris is always the #1 person talking about so-called criminal justice reform. But you the same person as a prosecutor sending people to prison for the maximum for putting a darn on child in a different district to get a darn on better education. But then you want to boo-hoo and cry as a darn on, I can relate from a black woman's perspective for a darn on being the second generation to desegregate my schools. But as soon as you became a prosecutor, you couldn't put that same place of empathy and darn on fairly judging a fair sentence towards that black woman who sent her darn on child to a different district so she could have a fair chance at education in life. And nobody checked her on that. Nobody checked her on that. So much motherfucking hypocrisy throughout this whole damn debates that just kept irritating the fuck out of me. From Kamala Harris to darn on so-called civil rights Bernie to darn on author of the crime bill that y'all try to throw Hillary Clinton under the bus, Joe Biden, Mr. Dementia Biden. Between them three, they got on my damn last nerve. I seen Andrew Yang. He made a few good points overall through it. He was decent enough. And he's actually managed to change my heart on this darn on universal basic income for the most part. Even though people is trying to darn on tear it down, my only complaint when it came to the universal basic income was just show me how you're going to pay for it. Because at first, the way it was presented, it was going to bring us in a perpetual negative of $2.3 trillion every single year. But honey, somebody in that comment section darn gonna redirected me to a site and it showed how he was planning on to balance that shit out. Now he done made me a believer out of it. So now he fully convinced me to the point where I had to do a video on the reparations versus the universal basic income. And apologies to Marianne Williamson. I had to fact check myself on her backpedaling, but I'm still going to have to do a video on her wording on her website because it confused me for a second when she tried to put a stipulation on the reparations, and I thought she was trying to backpedal out of cash payments. Turns out I had to look at some previous interviews that she done with the African Diaspora News Network. I seen her review on the Breakfast Club, and she said that it's up to the black people that she decide whether it would be in the form of direct cash payments or not. That she feels, you know, as a white person who descends from people who, you know, oppressed us, she does not get to ultimately dictate what we do with the money. But then she put her foot in her mouth and sort of contradicted herself, where she says that the government does have a right to, you know, say to a certain extent where it goes. It's like, no. See, now there you go backpedaling and pussy popping, then talking about it should be towards educational economic renewal. But then when you say it like that, then what does economical renewal mean? Does that include also sending out cash payment? Because I include cash payment as different from economical renewal. When I think of economic renewal, I also think of, you know, funding black-owned banks, making sure our black farmers, which all of this should have been talked about during the Atlanta darn debates in a darn studio owned by a black darn man, doing in a studio named after Oprah Winfrey, the richest black woman in America. All this darn black excellence being referenced, but only darn 4 minutes out of a 2 hour, and then they went over by a half hour. That what got me. The debate was scheduled for 2 hours. But the darn debate went over by 18 minutes. So y'all had an extra 18 minutes and black issues was addressed between 4 to 7 minutes. At best throughout the whole night. And within the 8 minutes that y'all actually dedicated to darn black issues, y'all co-opted it with darn talking about Iran nuclear deal, you know, the Iran deal and darn the Middle East, and then focused on bringing Hispanics into that as well. And this is why black people is over the term people of color and color period. Because people is tired of being we are tired of being motherfucking co-opted. When you talk about Hispanics, you don't darn co-op no darn shit. You don't bring Jewish people and Native Americans and black people in it when y'all talk about Hispanics. When you talk about Native Americans, y'all focus exclusively on Native Americans. When y'all talked about Jewish people, including them reparations in 2015, Bernie Sanders, you didn't darn gonna talk about what about the Hispanics, what about the low-income whites, what about the Native Americans. You didn't talk about that then, Mr. Darn civil rights. You didn't mention any of that. None of that at all. And then you always talking about how you marched in. And then I just got finished looking at a couple of darn on interviews lately with Senator Nina Turner, former senator of, I think she was from Ohio. So, former chairperson to the Bernie Sanders camp, current spokesperson now on the Bernie Sanders campaign. She darn on talking about been doing this since 1962. What has he done since 1962? The only thing he got arrested was for protesting. I'm trying to figure out what actual tangible law that he passed that was actually for the progression of solely black people. But you darn gonna claim he's been doing this shit since 1962. That doesn't add to his darn gonna claim. That's about just as worse as darn gonna Biden talking about he has the most years of experience up in this bitch. But between both of them alone, they got 100 years up in this game. A whole motherfucking century. Yet we can count on our hands and won't even have to pull out hardly one finger off the 5 countdown of issues that they did to address black people in a positive way. Now we have to darn gonna count on our hands and toes and get several other people on all the stuff that they darn gonna help darn gonna push that has been a detriment. But what have darn gonna Bernie Sanders done? I wait, Senator Nina Turner. I wait. I'm still waiting. Killer Mike, you too. But y'all darn gone shuckling and jiving for darn gone Bernie Sanders. But every darn gone plan that he has for black people is something that address everybody overall. So we ain't worth darn gone individualized attention, but everybody else is. Y'all seen that I've been doing everybody's darn gone platforms left and right. I ain't been biased and not near a bit, except for, I will say up until this point, I have darn gone told y'all I wasn't here for Bernie nor motherfucking Biden. Them two have pissed me off so much I darn gone vote for darn gone Trump just to darn gone spike their motherfucking ass since you want to keep playing with us and acting like y'all darn gonna bring us out when it's time to vote. And then you have an Indian woman. Juan, don't get the tear. You have this Indian woman who's then going to add insult to injury and point out the hypocrisy. But this bitch is darn gone parading on the stage in blackface. And then y'all want us to take either one of y'all seriously. Y'all want us to take any one of y'all seriously. I'd rather y'all just been like darn gone Buttigieg and said, well, shit, I'm going to try just winning off the darn gone gay vote. I ain't even going to vote. I don't even need y'all black ass. Because that's basically how y'all darn gone treating us. Don't even try to front with us no damn more. Because it really don't do nothing but irritate us damn more. And the people, especially black people, is finally darn gone got the wool pulled from over their eyes and they see clear. They no longer looking from the rose-colored glasses. Because now that when I start doing videos and my darn on video on Joe Biden only gets 22 views, but y'all claim who the fuck is Tulsi Gabbard? Tulsi Gabbard ain't been around this, that, and the third. Yet Tulsi Gabbard, who I didn't even know that well, I didn't even know she had a fan base, and the video got over 130 some views. Honey, the people are speaking. The people truly are. And they don't want the same old. The people that got us in this mess, like Marianne Williamson say, how we darn gone supposed to give it up to them to try to fix the darn gone mess. So the people who darn gone is responsible for getting us in this darn gone fuck up is not supposed to get us out of it. But then this is where Marianne Williamson, I had to get on your behind. You be so wise to acknowledge that, but then you want the darn gone then say you team Bernie and team darn gone Elizabeth. So at the end of the day, sometimes if you lose, you might cave in and be on their team. I mean, it's just damn sad. It's sad all the way around. It wasn't really no damn winners at that damn debate, if you ask me. Then none of them landed too tough. Cory Booker, I will give him this. He was overall the best overall on least speaking on the black agenda. But this is where all of them missed the mark yet again. And then this is now when I have to get on Cory Booker's ass. Let me get a sip of water because this video really about to be an hour long because I'm about to really go in on every last one of them sorry trifling trollops. Ooh, calm down, Mom. See, I promised myself this video was only going to be 10 minutes long, but now I'm about to read about every last one of them darn going established mother truckles, honey. Because here you is, Mr. darn gone transgender awareness. Now here it is, we just came off of Transgender Awareness Week. Then on the day of the darn gone debates, you had National Transgender Awareness Day of Remembrance for the darn gone slain transgender women. You're in Atlanta, Georgia, which has a very high concentration of black transgender women, such as the big dick bitch T.S. Madison, honey, and all the other girls down in the darn gone A, baby. You didn't address nothing about the homeless rates regarding LGBT, including the transgender community. Once again, during Transgender Awareness Week, coming off of Transgender Awareness Week, it's celebrated every second week in November. Transgender Awareness Day of Remembrance is celebrated every November 20th of the year. The debates was on November 20th. You was in the Tyler Perry studios, who Tyler Perry has came out and said there is actually going to be a homeless shelter in the Tyler Perry studios, on the Tyler Perry studios ground, for displaced LGBT youth. And you telling me with all of that darn on reference points that you could have done, you didn't bring up the transgender women not nail time. Y'all mentioned LGBT, y'all had that down. But Cory Booker, you lost the perfect point to highlight the black transgender woman. If any time y'all could have darn on brought up black, and then it's like y'all are so disingenuous when it comes to black, when it comes to transgender issues. Y'all be just throwing out anything out there and think nobody's going to fact check, thinking that just because you say something nice about transgenders that it sounds sincere. Like saying something stupid. I forgot who it was. It wasn't Cory Booker. Somebody talking about birth control. A woman's rights to her body as far as giving birth, including trans women. Now we are aware that as trans women we do not give birth. So why the word, like, I hate when people darn gonna try to throw in a minority as a talking point, because you threw in black trans women to get a 2-for-1. Women birth rights, and then you know what, I'm going to throw in trans women. But that was not the way to throw in trans women on an issue that actually did not relate to us. We are aware that we do not give birth. So I'm trying to figure out, I can't think of who that candidate was. I don't think that person is in. As a matter of fact, it was Beto, honey. And it's a good thing your ass wasn't on that motherfucking debate stage, because I would have read you down too, bitch. Because more likely you would have definitely avoided that motherfucking topic. Mr. darn on birth rights for darn on trans women, knowing damn well trans women don't even give birth. Oh, they all piss me the fuck off. Cory Booker, he did okay enough, but still dropped the ball. Kamala Harris parading around in blackface, even though now I have concrete proof that you was on record calling yourself a full-blooded Indian woman up until 2017. I at least gave you the darn benefit of the doubt of trying to change your tune in 2007 or 8. But you darn gonna been on this motherfucker blackness only within the past 2 years. But then y'all want to try to call out darn on Dementia Joe and play on his darn on memory incontinence on, oh well, the other black woman is right here. Until we see a DNA test, darn on Biden should have darn on said, no, I see the first darn on Indian woman here. I put you in office as the first Indian American woman, so excuse me that I did not know that you was black all of a sudden. That should have been your motherfucking clapback. But since your ass darn on sitting up there looking like darn on Buzz Lightyear in 70 years, like darn on Cory Booker said, he thought you was high when you talked about you didn't want to darn on legalize marijuana, and here your ass sitting up at the darn on debate. Looking like you about to darn gonna fade out any damn minute. Now looking like you done smoked some darn gonna good kush before you done got out there all days up out your mind. I done lost my mind. Honey, and I done lost my darn gonna voice. I can't even hit a damn note. Darn gonna got me so motherfucking pissed off. Nose stopped up, can't even hit my damn note. But like I said, all of them done lost their mind. The hell? There's some cats darn gone. Honey, I got about 4 cats darn gone meow out. Hold on, y'all. Okay, y'all, I'm back. My darn gone cat tripping, deciding to have company up on the darn gone porch like you darn gone paying bills. Honey, you darn really got comfortable for a darn gone stray cat turned to something semi-domestic. Honey, I'm darn gone in the middle of a rant. All of a sudden, I hear y'all trying to darn gone make up. But then again, my vocals was darn gone out. So I guess they darn gone heard me say that. And it was just right on cue, too. Here I am trying to darn gone sing the Crazy song by CeeLo Green, and all of a sudden I hear in unison. I swear you can't make this damn shit up. All of a sudden, all at the same time. Meow. Meow. I'm like, what the fuck? Am I being punked? Like, I thought somebody was literally outside my darn gone window listening in, trying to darn gone be funny on cue, talking about, you must have been out your mind. Ooh. Honey, I thought that was being funny, but it was the damn cats. About 4 cats up on the damn porch, honey. I swear, y'all can't make this darn gone stuff up with darn gone me, baby. But one thing that's not made up that it seemed like this is some shit out of doggone fiction is this doggone debates, honey. This debates was just a sad, deplorable night for black people. Everybody lost the mark on this. Cory Booker, you didn't go strong enough. Kamala, you pointing out everybody else's issue, knowing that that everything you were saying from that black church and everything else applied to you the most of all. So I guess it was very befitting that y'all went light on Buttigieg, because every last one of y'all would have been a walking hypocrisy. And darn gone Buttigieg don't really need no address, because he's darn gone so far low with black people. Everybody done seen the bullshit with him that there's even no need to even dress where somebody's not even relevant. But the rest of them, honey, just irritated the fuck out of me. Like I said, the only people who did okay for me tonight, as far as just overall the overall topics, was not here for me. But I would give, just based off of this week, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang. Elizabeth Warren still gets on my nerves, but she survived the night overall. She was just overall bland. She's not as diabolical as them 2 B's, but it's like, honey, your policies are good enough. You stay in my top 5, but overall on the night of black issues, she really didn't score it out down home for me either. However, I can definitely say she may not have had no direct quotes towards black people, but honey, she's definitely wasn't problematic by any means. Compared to doggone Bernie and Biden. Now, them 2 motherfuckers are very problematic, in my opinion. They're very problematic, in my opinion, on this. Kamala Harris, same thing. All 3 of them irritated me the most throughout the whole night. Amy Klobuchar, honey, I don't know if she got up with doggone Roseanne since she's been blackballed out the industry, and she doggone, but she was finally landing her jokes. I said, honey, she must have doggone went out and doggone talked to doggone Roseanne, honey. Ain't Roseanne the comedian that owned the nut farm or something? Like, I think I was reading something about Roseanne owning the doggone nut farm, honey. So I guess they was doggone talking about landing the jokes over darn on homemade peanut butter or some shit, honey. Cause them jokes was finally somewhat landed. Everybody was a darn on bootleg comedian throughout the whole night for the dang on most part. Andrew Yang got his jokes in. Kamala Harris laughing at the thing, but it's like, honey, I don't know why you darn on laughing, Miss Indian. Talking about the second woman is here. Like I said, you would have been best just shutting the fuck on up, because the people who know your true tea, honey, that was the moment for you to just darn gonna shut the fuck up and stay quiet. Cory Booker, like I said, you mentioned transgender women in the previous debates, but the one time where it mattered most on Transgender Awareness Day, you did not even mention it. I don't even think transgenders was transgender even mentioned. I think it might have been mentioned 1 or 2 times in passing. Like I said, LGBT was mentioned overall, but I don't think they really even focused on transgender rights. But I was like, if anything, if we were going to mention this, you know, the homicide and suicide rates and stuff, and especially the high level deaths, it would have been on Transgender Remembrance Day in Atlanta. And also, in regards to talking about Medicare for all and the diseases, y'all in y'all in a city that used to rank #1 in the highest doggone infection rate for doggone HIV/AIDS, that just decreased to number, I think, 7 on the list, which is still substantially high. And then there has been people who have came out and said that they had cures for HIV, allegedly. This is their saying, not mine. Once again, YouTube, don't come for me. Don't try to flag my shit. I'm just the doggone messenger. But there has been people who have came out with strong evidence to suggest they had a cure for HIV, and we do not focus on that as opposed to Medicare. We keep focused on trying to treat the problem. Pay for the problem, but not darn gonna treat it. Because that's what I keep hearing from Bernie Sanders. Medicare for all, no restrictions. But what separates him from Marianne Williamson is, when I hear Marianne Williamson is always, let's get to the root of the problem. Let's darn gonna address why people are getting these illnesses in the first place. So yeah, you can have the Medicare for all if you need it, but let's darn gonna get you healed so you won't need it in the first place. And that's why, once again, I was so disappointed that her ass wasn't there. Because she's the only one that actually says, let's get to why people are actually sick. Let's darn talk about this darn USDA, the FDA recommending the darn pyramid guidelines, including dairy products. But we done reported over on my main channel about the hypocrisy when it comes to dairy products. Over 70% of black people have an intolerance to dairy. 70 to 75% of Asian people, excuse me, y'all, I got a darn cold as well. And I think they said 55% of Hispanics, 74%, I want to say, of Native Americans, 85+% of the world's population have an intolerance to dairy products, but dairy products is recommended to us based off of 2/3 of the majority population, which is white people, not having an intolerance. So because you do not have an intolerance, we're seen as the ones who are abnormal. But globally, you represent 15% of the population. Black people, Native Americans, Hispanics, we represent over 85% of the population. But somehow we are the ones with this problem. And you cannot tell us why dairy is really needed when there is the benefits in so many other doggone foods that is not problematic towards us, that does not give us, what's the medical terminology that start with G, that gives men breast, that can be found in milk more than the soy milk. So why people are always turned down, and this is another thing that people don't get. Soy milk is actually labeled to give people, black men and men in general, the gynoplasty or whatever it's called, they put that on soy milk to confuse you to drink regular milk, not knowing that the regular milk actually has a 7 times more likely propensity to give you that disorder than the soy milk. Now catch that. So y'all wondering about the building up of estrogen, and y'all are subliminally taught to avoid soy products, but y'all still drinking the dairy though. It's like if you was going to avoid the soy, I would at least recommend that you go to almond milk or to go to coconut milk. But why are you still drinking the cow's milk? And the cow's milk actually has a higher propensity to cause that darn issue. And not only that, but it triggers up the Crohn's disease. Like even with chips, every time I even eat something with cheese in it, it's gotten to the point where it just causes all types of mucus buildup and everything else. And I just got finished eating. That's probably why I always get messed up on camera. And it seems like I'm sick every time I'm on camera. Every time I'm on camera, y'all notice my eyes get watery as if I'm crying, and my nose always getting running. And that's because I'm not perfect. Look what I'm darn gonna eat my damn self. This sour cream and onion. But I notice anytime, but I still trying to get myself up off of it. It's like a damn addiction. But I notice if I eat any other chip, I would have got through this whole video without no problems. But now I'm sitting over here as if I really got a cold, but I don't. I don't even got my fan on. I done went through this whole hour video. Usually I have my fan on to drown out the sound for, the neighbors and whatever. But I don't even got my fan on and I'm sniffing. Now, I was about borderline on the verge of tears with darn on addressing this hypocrisy earlier, but this darn on stuffy nose. So I tried my best. I avoided dairy products. I avoided drinking direct milk for 7 years now. I avoid cheese whenever I can, except for an occasional burger. But I only eat a burger maybe once a month or something like that. Going out now, a burger from home, I don't put cheese on my burger. I love ranch dressing though, and that's my only weakness. And ranch is made with milk. It's like hot darn. So that's my only direct intake of the dairy products. But I noticed it is really bad for me. And Marianne Williamson has addressed this about stuff that's made us sick with the dairy product recommendation guidelines that is pushed upon us. Dr. Mills had actually went before Congress and said that dairy is actually toxic to black folks. But it's so ingrained in us that even knowing this, we still ingest stuff that somehow has dairy in it. From the chips to me having a huge love for ranch dressing, and now I'm trying to force myself off of that and go to like Italian dressing instead. Go from these chips to going back to the veggie chips, but y'all know they took the Walmart from me. Now they got this farmers market that they're trying to make in the Fayetteville State University, but that's going to be another year before that comes up. I didn't even know we was going to have a farmers market. I thought somebody else was going to buy the store that used to be the Walmart on Murchison Road, but it's still empty out of nearly been a year. It's now been a year since the Walmart has closed down on Murchison Road. And just in case y'all trying to find me, no, I am not directly on Murchison Road, but I am within a 5-mile facility. So don't y'all get the darn going up and down the darn 2-6 thinking y'all about to find your girl house. No, I'm not on Murchison Road, but I'm very close within the facility. So I don't mind y'all knowing the general area where y'all at, but don't y'all get to thinking y'all about to find me directly to my damn door. No, honey. Y'all won't be doxing my damn ass, honey. Cause I'm about that life. I'm about that life. Try to fuck with me if you want to. I know none of y'all would do that, but honey, it's always that one, honey. Especially that hating ass bitch. I guess they done caught on to the fact that I was about to call these motherfucking ass out. Cause by every single video is always that one hating bitch that's always thumbing down my video just for the sake of it. And at first I thought it was my cousin because I got on her ass, but she done been in jail for the past couple weeks. To give y'all an update on my cousin, I do a personal talk on that. But yeah, that wraps it up for this debates, y'all. Like I said, so disappointed. Marianne Williamson could have struck so many points on this topic. The black agenda, reparations, a debt is owed, economic darn restitution, educational memorial, and that would have struck home in the darn black entrepreneur capital of the darn nation. I mean, you got Potomac, Maryland, known for having the most concentration of most black influenced black people. A high dollar black, but Atlanta has the most entrepreneurs overall. But sadly, even with that, you still deal with, homelessness. You still deal with the trafficking. You still deal with the high HIV epidemic. And like I said, with cures that have been suggested, that has been put out there by people, by reputable doctors, and they do not get pushed to the forefront, is quite appalling. We always talk about, Medicare for all, to pay for the problem. But Marianne Williamson is the only candidate that is running that has actually mentioned about treating the actual illness. She's the only one talked about getting rid of dairy off of the doggone product line, holding the USDA, the FDA accountable. So while Bernie Sanders and them is talking about the pharmaceutical industry overall with the price gouging, honey, Marianne Williamson has gone a step beyond and talked about them perpetuating the illness of profiting off of the sick, and thus keeping these alleged cures underground so that the industry can still run amok. Versus Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren is only focused about them price gouging, making it difficult for people to treat the illness. And that's what pisses me off with them. They always just focusing on, making it affordable just so people can treat the illness. Go to okay, you make it free for us to go to the doctor, but I still subject to this disease. Marianne Williamson is saying, no, I want you to get these cures out there, allegedly cures, so people won't have to deal with these illnesses, these chronic debilitating conditions that is put upon us, that is orchestrated by the government entities, so money can darn keep profiting by everybody at the top. So that's why I was so upset. I mean, that would have struck home for Marianne Williamson in that regard. If she would have been able to speak on HIV epidemic and then the cures that have been suggested for HIV in Atlanta, if she would have been able to bring up the reparations topic, if she would have been able to bring up black issues in Atlanta, Georgia, honey, she would have darn won that night hands down. Like I said, the dominant majority of the population is black people. Yet black people was annoyed in their own city during inside Tyler Perry Studios in the Oprah Winfrey sound stage. Let that triple irony make sense. A dominant black darn area with a rich billionaire black man studio franchise that y'all are in, the Tyler Perry Studios, in the sound stage named after the most successful black host of all time, the richest black woman in America. But black people was only mentioned a total of 8 minutes, and at that 8 minutes it was co-opted with Saudi Arabian and Iranian people, with Hispanics added in. But when Hispanics was mentioned, we gave them their undivided attention. No other race was mentioned, not one time. Y'all got a whole half hour to y'allselves. Whole half hour. And as a LGBT, I'm glad when our rights are mentioned, but y'all are able to mention LGBT and focus just on that to a certain extent. But y'all missed the mark tonight with trans issues though. But we've always mentioned about how transgenders is always at the end of the damn bus. And we's always at the end. Rarely addressed, and then when you addressed us, you poorly do it. Because it's the one time on Transgender Remembrance Day, we would expect the people to mention that. Not Neil candidate did. And then, like I said, just everybody just pissed me off. Tulsi Gabbard was okay. Overall, I'm liking her policies overall. She held her own against Miss Indian Kamala Harris. Buttigieg, motherfucking factor, honey. You think you about to win based off of LGBT, honey? You sadly mistaken, because guess what? There's black people in the LGBTQ community, such as myself, that is not voting for your darn Happy Days ass, honey. So yeah, you can darn twist that ring and say, well, I can relate because of, oh no, bitch, sit down. Sit the fuck down. And this is what also pisses black people off. when you darn gonna put our struggle as LGBT and try to darn gonna directly compare it to darn gonna and trying to play the comparable game. You darn gonna piss me off with that have some receipts, but then again, ain't nobody checking for your ass no damn way. Amy Klobuchar is a lot more favorable to me than your ass. And Amy Klobuchar, sadly, she just not going to get, because she just, she just rides in the middle. Like, she just does enough for me, but she ain't done, she haven't said nothing that has wowed me. Like, she's just the standard safe candidate. But compared to, like, Tulsi, I wouldn't put her above Tulsi. I wouldn't put her above Elizabeth. Damn sure not Marianne Williamson. Damn sure not Andrew Yang. So it's like, honey, you just in the top 5 by way of everybody else just being so horrible. But it's definitely not based off of your doggone policies being overwhelmingly great. It's like, you know, Amy is just there just to be the middle ground person that's just like, okay. That's what Amy Klobuchar gives me. It's like, okay, you ain't horrible, but you ain't doing nothing that necessarily wows me either. Tom Steyer, your ass done brought your way in, and the only thing you mentioned you gonna be just like old dude. What was the one that was also speaking about just climate change? Was it Bill de Blasio? It was one of them that was early on in there that was speaking highly on climate change, and that was the only issue that they seemed to be stuck on. And then they ass finally got out of there by the second debate, I believe. So Tom Steyer is going to be in that same debate, no matter how much money you buy, honey. That shit didn't work with, because I guess he thinks, well, you know, it worked with Donald Trump, it's going to work with you, honey. No. Donald Trump also incited racism, bigotry, violence, and all that. And you not giving that. You giving darn on innocent white man that happens to be rich and naive with your money and just don't know what to do with it. You need to get up out the darn on race and put it behind somebody who's actually not getting a fair shot, such as Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson is all for the environment and stuff as well, and can push the darn on issue along with a multitude of other issues, which is what is effective as a president. You just can't be a one-trick pony and just focus on one thing, because I haven't heard one other thing that Tom Steyer addresses other than climate change. So once you get the climate together, what else is you good for? Honey, we got a whole cabinet position that can focus on the climate. I forgot what it is, but out of them 15 cabinet positions, honey, there's actually a cabinet position for that. So you need to be positioning yourself to be somebody's darn cabinet pick to deal with that issue directly, because I haven't heard you mention anything other than climate change. And like I said, your money would have been best suited to darn boost Marianne Williamson up. Please not Bernie. Not darn Biden. Not Indian Kamala. But if you really serious on that climate change, honey, please either darn get out and back darn Andrew Yang or darn Marianne Williamson. Now I know they trying to darn brown nose up to the other people trying to claim that they all billionaires are demons and shit, and that they don't want to accept no billionaire money, but I think they would truly make an exception for you. I really think Marianne Williamson or Andrew Yang will make an exception. A Yang gang sound off if y'all took the time to listen to this video all the way through. Do y'all think darn Andrew Yang will make an exception for Tom Steyer funding his campaign? Marianne Williamson gang, same question down below. Do you think the exception can be made if darn Tom Steyer gets his ass out and support one of them two instead? So that is my thoughts. Y'all leave y'all thoughts down below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon with more videos. Like I said, I thought this video was going to be 18 minutes long, and it turned out to be an hour and 18 minutes. But some of y'all love these long videos, so y'all got a good long one today, y'all.